All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this is our first of the rest of our healing rooms, the rest of our lives where we will have healing rooms. And I want to welcome you. I want you just to give you the ground rules. Is it called the ground rules? Yes. The ground rules are that when you have questions, please keep your questions, or even as you write them in the chat box, and then we're gonna have a Q&A. And our Q&A is not going to be recorded because this recording is going to be repurposed for other things. I just wanted to make you aware of that, meaning that as you ask your questions, even if you don't want to say your name or it's okay, but we will not record your Q&A. So this is quite a safe space. This is a subject that I had been working on for years. And over the years, those who've been following me on social media know that I have been talking a lot about relationships. I've been talking a lot about womb. I've been talking a lot about women and women healing, And those who have been my clients have been, into my space on relationships coaching, conscious sexuality. I call it that because I don't want at any point to be in a clinical container or a clinical where I'm called a something that has to do with clinical. So my background is that I'm a researcher, I'm a scholar of life, I am a conscious woman, I'm a spiritualist, and yeah, that is my that's where I'm transmitting from. So as I said, that this has been a subject that I have been putting out, but not exactly putting it out the way the way I should be putting it out. And the reason is exactly what I've just said, what I've just mentioned, that I don't want to be clinical. I don't want to be clinical, because once you call a person a narcissist, right, then you clinically you can't say a person is a narcissist if you can't diagnose them. So understand that even in this teaching, even in this healing room, when I refer to a narcissist, I'm talking about traits. Okay, I am talking about people who are, the term that I use is soulless people, because that is not clinical. So just know that that is where I am transmitting from. So in the past years, we've been encouraging women to come out and speak out on abuse. We've been encouraging women, and women have been coming out, I'm abused, I was abused. And of course, abuse has just been it's just been a thing. I've been abused, So over the years, when you are emotionally abused, you couldn't come out to say, I am emotionally abused. You couldn't come out because, where are your scars? And so on and so forth. And besides that, when there has been children are taken from you, your house is taken from you, and so on and so forth, and you are just in and out of court, police, it's abuse. Well, it's just been, it was seen as just something, but there was a relationship, or there was a marriage, and the marriage ended, and it ended badly, you see. But then if you have experienced what I am going to be teaching about today, when a relationship ends, and it just ends badly because the heartbreaks and so on happen, and when it has been a narcissistic abuse, Okay, so and this affects everyone, but it has affected everyone. I've sat with women who are advocates. I've sat with women, they are conscious women, they are spiritual women, they are career women, you know, they are women from all walks of life. And this thing, experiencing what I am, you know, as I said, what I'm going to be teaching about, it's got nothing to do with logic. It's got nothing to do with how intelligent you are, how you know, how educated you are, you know, it's got nothing to do with that. So in every step of, you know, this healing room, and even going further into other spaces and other deeper treatments of this, I want you to have compassion on yourself and know that you did not experience what you experienced because there was something wrong with you, or you experienced what you experienced because because usually after these things you feel like I was such a fool. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to what I wrote, you know. And by the way, this is really influenced by Munewa's story. This was something that I was cooking, but you know, bits and pieces and call it something else. But that story really touched me because we, at some point of our lives, we've all been here in our small or big ways. Okay, so I'm gonna just start with saying that, you know, we meet people in our lives, and no marriage starts, no marriage starts, you know, from that place of hostility. It doesn't start like that. No relationship or breakup starts from hostility. Nothing starts from hostility, but things end up at the stage where we are even saying that it is abuse. My story is that I have been in a narcissistic, abusive space, marriage. You know, I was there for 15 years. Yes, I was there for 15 years. And after that, you know, I then was attracting different relationships, but those relationships kind of had the same energetics, you know. So when it comes to what I am teaching now, just know that I have the t-shirts, I have the experience, you know, I have the codes for it. I have experienced it. And when I saw that I'm attracting the same things, even, you know, and what really pushed me into saying, no, I should actually go deeper into, you know, the type of relating or the people that I'm attracting and are co-generating with, you know. What caused that was that I was already, you know, a healer. I was already in the space of, you know, of healing. So I had to go deep, or I had to go deeper. Okay. So where does it start and how does it start? When it starts like you have met your soul mate. It starts like you have met the one person that knows you, the one person who speaks your language, the one person who is able to even finish your sentence. You feel like you have met your other half. You feel like you have met, you know, your twin soul. Those who know about twin souls, you feel like you have met your monadic twin. You feel like you have met your, you know, you've met your person. And how does that happen? Why do you feel that way? You feel that way because a soulless person is able to mirror you. They come into your life, and as they come into your life, they start mirroring you. They mirror you in how you talk, they mirror you in how you do things, and they're able to even scan your life, in order to see where are those spaces and places in your life where you lack. Okay, they do that so well. Why do they do it so well? That is because they've been doing it throughout their lives. I start by saying they. I want you to understand, it's not gonna be they. I'm gonna come to the part. How do you, what causes it? Because everything is energetic. There is nothing that is so spiritually pronounced like a relationship with a narcissist. That is where you will see the spirit world really works. So as I said, that this person comes into your life, they really mirror you and they compliment you. Know that a compliment, they're not complimenting you. They are just going into areas of your life saying, you lack. So, and it feels like love. It feels like, oh my God, this is love. It's very quick also. That is another sign that you are in a toxic relationship. It becomes very quick within the first month. You're talking about marriage. By the third month, there's a baby. Somebody's pregnant. Why does that happen? That is because those relationships are highly sexually charged. Okay, those relationships are highly sexually charged, and that is how it happens. Okay, so what actually feels like love, or what you think it was love from the person that person, it was not love. It was not love at all. It was mirroring. And at that point, you were not their loved one. You were just their favorite person at that point. Can I have tissue? You were just their favorite person at that time. Okay. And then when they see now they have gotten you. When they see you are so dependent on the parts of, the parts that they play in your life, you are so dependent that, oh my God, they know you can't live without them. And when I say live without them, it can be, let me speak to people. Maybe let me not say people who have money and those who, let me not say that, because the way this thing works, when you don't have money, the toxic person will come with money and make you dependent on their money. If you have your own money, the toxic person will come with, support and help and just support you and feed into that little girl, that little child that needs healing. Okay. And then after that, how it works is that, after that steamy time, steamy sex, steamy everything, now they start pulling their energy. What happens in your brain chemicals? There is an up and down. That up and down that happens, it actually shoots certain brain chemicals, and when they withdraw again, you feel, okay, now they have withdrawn, but you still want that connection. You still want that steamy connection. You still want it, but now they're withdrawing from it. And that is how you become trauma bonded. So that connection turns into a trauma bond, because now, it's addiction. It is addiction. I'm gonna go to the story of the songbird, the beautiful artist. She says that it's amazing that even after I was beaten up, I still wanted him. And he says, I know that you think I'm foolish. No, she's not foolish. At that point, she was fully trauma bonded. At that point, she was not in love. It was not a relationship. It was an addiction. Okay, so that is how it happens. And then when the addiction, you're on the addiction stage, which is the second stage of these relationships. So remember that the first stage is where you are put on a pedestal. You are loved. You are the best thing ever. You are better than even the exes. You are better than even the ones who are coming. You are better than, like, you are better. Where were you all my life? Because you are the best thing that has ever happened. That is the first stage. Now, during that stage, again, that is when the pulling and, the pulling off energy happens, the silent treatments, maybe the, however it is that they do it. Second stage is the stage where you are devalued. This is a time where, you are told, but in the way we are something, it's not how it should be done, I know other people who can do it better. Why are you doing that? You are not good enough in what you're doing. You are not good enough in this relationship. You are not good enough a man, or you are not good enough a woman. And I am saying you're not good enough a man, you're not good enough a woman, because I don't want to make this about gender, because narcissism is not a gender thing. It is a human phenomenon that has always been there. I will go into the history, a little bit of history of where that name comes from, to show you that it is a human story. It is a human story. Okay, so the second stage is that stage where now you are devalued. You are devalued. There's nothing that you do right. There's nothing that you do right, or you're not doing it perfect. That is the devaluing stage. Okay, so at that time, you are fighting, you are working so hard to go back to the first stage, because you've tasted it. You are working so hard to go to the first stage where you are on a pedestal, where you are given attention, where there was eye contact, where there was energy. You are working very hard to go there. Let me tell you, you will never go back there. You will never go back there. Once you get to the discard stage, where you are groveling for attention, where you are groveling for love, that is now the time where you become a narcissist energy supply. Okay, now they feel like, oh, look at me, now you want me. You see, without me, you will never be nothing. You'll never be anything. That is how you become a narcissistic supply. So now you are supply. The relationship is now nothing but just transactional. It is transactional. Okay, and then we get to the third stage. I'm just going to talk about the 3 stages, and in the coming rooms. The third stage is the stage where now you are discarded. This is where the cheating happens. This is where you are left. This is where you are, it is clear and open that you are just out. The relationship, Ella, you are out of it. That is the discard stage. This is the stage sometimes where the narcissist will make sure that they look for a partner, and it will be a partner, maybe somebody that a friend, or somebody who is close to you, or they have a partner that you do not know, but they make sure that you know about them. In this era of the social media, they will put their partner on social media, or they will do things, but most of the times it is things that you had been asking for. So if you wanted attention, if you wanted to, let's go for a holiday, let's go for, why can't we be seen together? We are going to restauranting. The next person that comes, the narcissist takes that, everything that you need, they know that now it works, and now they are practicing it with the next person. Now, this is where most people, this is where it kills most people, where they say, but everything that I've ever wanted, now they are giving it to the other person. It really means that the narcissist was right in saying that I am not good enough. I want to tell you, what it is not about you. It is not about the fact that you are not good enough. It is just just how they are. It is just, it's not about you. Okay. If you had been cheated on and were told that I am cheating or I'm going out of the house because you are not good enough, just know that that is not true. It's not about you. It is just about the fact that now they have found another supply. So remember, you were the supply until you were devalued, and then until you were discarded. Now, by the time they discard you, they are already looking for another supply. So, and then they will take whatever it is that they think, oh no, okay, so this works because how come this one really wanted it? They take that and then they do it with the other person. Remember, it is never about you. It is just about the fact that they have found a new supply. And even with that supply, it just be the same thing. Narcissists are a bottomless hole. They can never be filled. They can never come to a space where they can never come to a space where they are satisfied with what they have. Even if they can stay in one relationship for a long time, even if they can stay in one relationship for a long time, you think, oh, look at those people, they are together for such a long time. The narcissist is always looking for something else, or the narcissist has pulled and absorbed and fed themselves with this other person's soul, that this person is dry and out, and even if they survive, then there is a lot of healing that has to be done. How is a narcissist, what creates narcissism? What creates a person to be a narcissist? It's different factors. It is different factors. It could be a traumatic childhood. In fact, it is trauma. Let me just say it is trauma, because sometimes when you say to people, but you had a traumatic childhood, they'll say, no, I didn't have a traumatic childhood because my mother was there, my father was there, we had everything at home, we are a well-off family. Why would I be traumatized? No, the trauma happened at a certain stage of your development where there was abandonment, where there was neglect, emotional neglect. So, we are people, we work, and sometimes at a certain stage of a child's life where they need to be nourished emotionally, you find that we are busy, we are working, and that is how these things tend to happen. So a narcissist is a 2-year-old, okay? It is a 2-year-old. When you look at 2-year-olds, 2-year-olds are always about me. This is mine. No, that's mine. No, don't touch it. It's mine. If they don't get the necessary emotional nourishment at that time, if they don't get the necessary guidance, the necessary attention that is needed. Look, a 2-year-old is a full-on clinical narcissist. Okay, so they grow with it, and then at age 4, again, something happens. There has to be another a certain attention that a 4-year-old is given. So in an actual fact, what I want to say to you is that a narcissist is a child's, or it is a it is a child, a child that is crying for something, a child who is in maybe a 40-year-old body or a 30-something-year-old body or a 20-something-year-old body, okay? And they are crying for something. There's different types of narcissists, and it's important that you understand so that you know, if you encounter a soulless human, then you know which one you encountered. I'm going to talk about two types of these soulless humans. They are the ones that we call a grandiose, okay? The one that is called a grandiose narcissist. We see them a lot. We see them a lot in the media. You know, they're always about, it's just me. Look at me. I'm big. I'm better than everyone. Look at me. We see them a lot. Okay, we see them a lot. Most of them are even successful people, you know, because of just how they process life. You know, life is dark. It's dark. We see them a lot. And then we have the ones who I saw a question there. I'm gonna come to that question. And then there are the ones who are vulnerable narcissists. Those are the ones who are called covert narcissists. Okay, so those ones are the ones with the victims. They have a sob story, you know, they have a sob story. My story is that, you know, I was left and then my dad and my mom did this, and then, you know, they have that story. They are vulnerable, and those are the ones that you find in spiritual communities. You know, they are very namaste. Those are the ones that you find in, you know, spiritual communities, and they do spirituality because that is where they hide. Okay, they do spirituality because spirituality is where they hide, and they do spirituality as a way of escape. It is not in a way of integrating and aligning and knowing that they need to work on themselves. It's not in that, sorry about that. It is not in that, in that way. Yes, they do spiritual bypassing a lot. Okay, so those are the two types, and then under the two types, then there is like 4 categories of them, and so on and so forth, which we will talk about in later stages. So I want to say to you that when you go in, I mean, when you encounter a narcissistic relationship, a toxic relationship, the narcissist is a message from your wounds. The narcissist is a message that is telling you exactly where you need to look into. And even as I say this, I want to also say that, you know, sometimes we talk about healing, we must heal, we must heal, we must heal. And when you look at exactly who are the people who attract these people, they are the people who attract these people are agreeable people, you know, like being an agreeable person, being a person who is able, you know, a person who is agreeable, a person who is able to work with others, a person who is, you know, of service to others. There is nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And my approach to working with people who have been in such relationships is, yes, maybe healing, you know, but more than anything, it is awareness. And after you are aware, then you get what do you call it? So it's awareness and being informed and being able to guard yourself from, not from relationships or from people, but being able to guard yourself, having the skills that are needed, human skills that are needed for you to be able to, for you to not just be able to be open to even soulless people. Now, this is what every empath should learn. This is what every empath should learn. Why is it that most healers, there's a man that I saw, and then he wrote, he said, I'm wondering, why is it that all these women, healers and preachers, why is it that they are in such toxic relationships and so on and so forth? And that is because, you are a healer, you're an empath, you are able to feel for others, of which this is what a narcissist is not able to do. A narcissist is not able to do that. A narcissist cannot empathize. They are not neurologically fit to be able to empathize. You can cry in front of a narcissist and say, this is, I am hurting. Your tears become an insult to their soul. Why? Because they don't know how to deal with shame. And shame is a very big emotion. Most of people by suicide, when they survive the suicide and you counsel them, you'll find shame is the emotion that was driving the suicide. Okay, so when you start crying or you start saying, but even when you are not blaming, even when you just say, when you did this and that and the other, this is how it made me feel. And when you did, they take it as an attack that brings shame. And that is why they cannot take responsibility, because taking responsibility for them means that they are accepting the fault, and therefore it brings shame. And instead of them feeling shame, because it is so deep and such a big emotion, they'll flip the script to you and say, yeah, but you made me do it. You made me do it. I would not have done it if wena hazang wethu, so, or if you didn't do this and that and the other. So I want everybody to understand that I'm giving this information because we cannot be a generation that goes around and men are like, all men are like this, or all women are like this gender, that gender. We cannot be that generation. We cannot be a generation, like our mothers. Our mothers were abused. Narcissism didn't just come with us. We just have a name for it, and that is because just recently it was clinically labeled. Okay, there is a personality disorder that is called narcissism. Where does that name come from? As I said, that I will go into the history of the name. It is from a Greek myth where a person would go into the waters, into letamo, and always look themselves in the waters and say, oh, look at me, am I beautiful? And they are always, like concentrating on themselves. And that was called narcissism. So narcissist personality disorder, or narcissism personality disorder, that word is borrowed from that Greek myth. So it is a human thing. It is, we will always have soulless people. We will always have people by the more they are not fully developed, you know, in order to be fit to run life in a way that is agreeable, in the way that is peaceful, in the way that is, you know, that is joyful and peaceful. We will always have those people. And I say this because in the past years, I've been spending a lot of time with old people, older generation. You know, as I say that when I experienced this, I had to research. I had to go deeper in my studies. I had to even speak to people, different generations, you know, different, different genders, you know, just to see how they experience life, how they experience this, phenomenon, you know. And I spoke a lot with older women, our mothers. And that is why I'm going to say with a straight face that once you experience abuse, don't run to your mother. Once you experience or you see anything that looks like abuse, don't run to your mother, because your mother will give you a counseling. Your mother will counsel you into the abuse the way she was counseled. Your mother will counsel you into the narcissistic situation just the same way she was counseled. You know, our mothers always says, you know, I remember the first time I went for counseling when I realized, man, what is happening here? You know, going home and saying, you know, this person said this and that, and this is what happened, and this is how they said it. And I remember the counseling that I got. It was, note that I am not saying that there will never be disagreements. There are disagreements even in healthy relationships. You know, there are disagreements, but there is space, you know, to talk about things without attacking each other. You know, even if batuba attackana because maybe it's a marriage or a relationship where there is no intervention, where there is no emotional what we call emotional okay, I forgot the name, but you know, where somebody says, oh, okay, I'm taking responsibility for my emotions, and it means that because, you know, emotions, then let's get the third person intervention, good intervention. Even in relationships that do not have that, you know, it's only disagreements, but those disagreements do not end at one feeling like, always feeling like, oh no, you are dying, or feeling like you just want to give up on life, you know, or feeling like you are just in this machine that's sucking blood out of you. Okay, so I want to pause because I want to take some questions and see what you wrote, so that I don't speak alone and then I'm not seeing Horena Lerain. Can you please pause the recording so that I see? Say Horebe. Okay, so the question is, can they heal or change given the fact that this is not just a mental illness, but it is a personality disorder? So here is my experience, and other people, you know, maybe psychiatrists, you know, clinical people can put it differently. Personality disorders are managed. Personality disorders are managed. They you know, you can't heal, you have to learn. So a person with a personality disorder, they learn. So And I see that in this, the question says mental illness and also personality disorder. So when it comes to mental illness, I have a different view on mental illness, because my approach to mental illness, or what is called mental illness by by science, from a spiritual perspective, it can be something else. So I have seen people battling mental illness, but I have this mental illness, and you see them baba healed, because you see them baba healed. That is my take. As I say that, I can go somewhere and another person will say, no, not according to science. But I have seen it. I have seen people coming back mental illness, but a personality disorder that is, especially like narcissism. It's a neurological thing. It is, you'd have, that person would have to do so much deep work, they have to do so much deep work in order to even just start by managing themselves. Because when you speak to self-aware narcissists, those who say, yeah, I'm a narcissist, I'm self-aware, and I am doing the work, I've been in therapy for so long, some of the things they'll tell you that, okay, I had to learn to be in spaces where a person is crying, and instead of thinking, why are they crying, why are they crying, is it because they think they're gonna blame it on me, they are crying because so they have to learn, okay, at that point when a person is crying, listen to what they are crying about. So that's why I say that it can be managed. That is just that's my take on that. Okay. Let me just read the. Thank you. I often see that narcissism is mostly associated with men. Are there female narcissists? Yes, definitely. Or do they have a different name given the fact that women and men are wired differently? Are narcissists aware, or they are mainly acting in their nature? Should we blame them if it is nature, biological? All right. So there are female narcissists. There are definitely female narcissists. Yeah, there are definitely. Yeah, and those ones, you see it in their children, you see it. You see it. A child who was brought up by a narcissist, they have a very deep mother wound. It is a mother wound that, oh my God, sure, it is a deep mother wound. It is a deep mother wound. So if it's a woman, and they have that deep mother wound, no amount of counseling, no amount of actually the internet mother wound healing can help them, no amount of the tools in this is what you should do and so on will heal them until they do deep light work, and they find someone who is trained in the space of quantum healing and so on, at least to better. But otherwise no amount of internet mother wound healing, mother wound work will ever work. And those such people, such women, they hate other women. That is another sign of a mother wounded woman. They hate other women. They don't trust women. They can be your friend, but they will backstab you without even thinking. It is a sign. That's how a mother wound is sometimes plays out. There are other things, but That one I know. When I see it, I know, mother, let's go to the mother. And then in guys, you find that that person is not able to receive love. Remember that men receive love through the heart. We give love, men receive love. They are not, it doesn't matter what you do, they will not receive, they can't receive love. They can't receive, they're always in their head. You can do everything, but they will not be able to receive love. So yes, as I said, when I started, that narcissism is a human thing. It is a human story. It's always been there. Even that word narcissism comes from a Greek myth, you know, a Greek story. So it's not gender based. Okay, are narcissists aware, or they are mainly acting in their nature? Should we blame them if it is nature? Look, it is their nature. It is their nature. It is their nature. And that is why in marriages where if it is detected that another person, the other partner is a narcissist, no amount of marriage relationship counseling can ever fix that marriage. No amount. No amount. It is a pattern thing. It is a pattern thing. When you realize that, okay, when narcissism or addiction, abuse, any sort of abuse, it is not a marital problem. It is a problematic marriage or a problematic relationship. And the other partner has to be taught, or you are not equipped to deal with this. You are not equipped to deal with addiction. You are not equipped to deal with narcissism. You are not equipped to deal with a person. So it is that person's journey. They have to go and do the work. They have to go work on their patterning. Okay, all right. How do I support someone who is in a relationship with a narcissist? For instance, the victim comes to you for comfort, and as you try to advise them to leave and they do not, then they are not ready. How do I support them until they gain strength to finally walk away? Okay, so there is a thing called victim support. So once you realize that the person is a victim, once you realize that they are trauma bonded, when you say to them, leave, and I want everybody here to understand how the addiction works. It works like any other addiction. It is like going into a space where a person is addicted to crystal or to cocaine, and you say, leave your cocaine, let's go. You know, it is like that. Now, the victim support, when somebody comes and they say that I am in this marriage or I'm with a narcissist and so on, always remind that person of the strength they have. Always remind them of the things that they have accomplished. Always remind them of good things. Always remind them of that. Don't stop doing it. Once you say leave the relationship, you are talking to an addict. An addict, it's not easy for an addict to just leave a drug. Even if they leave, even if you can take that person somewhere, you will have to do the proper maintenance, the withdrawal symptoms. They will have withdrawal symptoms. They will have, they even have to be supported, even like take you a cardiac arrests, mental things and so on. So you keep supporting. You keep praying. You keep telling them that at any point, when you feel like this is a lot, this is too much, please come here. You keep availing yourself as that option where they can come. The worst thing you can ever say to them is, oh, but this person is so nice, wait. But this person is such a nice person. Even if you have experienced the niceness, never say to the victim. Never say to the victim, yo, but Abuto nice is wrong. Quiet. He's so quiet. He is so nice. Never do that. Never do that, because it is another trauma to the victim. It is another trauma to the victim, because it is another. Remember where she started, or where he started with the narcissist. So when you say, oh, but he's so nice, you are reminding them of where they started and where they want to be with that person. So just keep reminding them of their strength. Keep open the options. Most of all, pray for that person. Pray for that person to come out of that situation. Okay. Out of interest, aren't we grooming men to be narcissists through culture? What is the link between that? Grandiose. People who are taught to abuse or taught abuse in normal. An example I can give is Uktwala. It was at some stage normal. Okay, let me just drink water. All right. So when it comes to men and how we see men and how a society now experiences masculinity, it is, and when I say masculinity, I mean our own masculinity, and masculinity in terms of the male gender, the male gender, which carries the essence of masculinity. I think the way we are experiencing it is very distorted. It's been distorted over the years. It's been distorted from over the years. So I'm going to speak about culture. Culture is beautiful in the way that culture grooms men. I think that it is beautiful. Intentionality was like an awesome, beautiful intention. But because of how our masculinity and our experience of masculinity is distorted and toxic, we are so used to toxic, men who have toxic relationship with their masculinity, that even when a man comes and stand in their masculinity, in their erectedness as a man, to give direction and to give direction, it feels wrong, because we are not used to that. We are used to men shouting or men who are quiet. We are not used to men who actually say, so, who are saying, this is the law, this is the law of my my home. Men who are able to be prophets of their home, who are able to say, this is the God of this house, in this house, this is the God that we worship. So it's because we are not used to that. When you see something like that, when culture maybe says to men that stand up as a man, we will see it as like a grooming of narcissism. We will see it as that. So it is grooming of ego. It is the ego that the man needs in order to penetrate the field. So we should not mistaken toxicity the ego. We all need ego in order to do life, in order to penetrate life. There is a certain amount of ego that we need. I'll give you an example. even Jesus Christ, there's ego there. You know, when you read the scriptures, you see what, man, there was ego here. You know, when a person comes and say, listen, I'm the light, I'm the way, there's no one who'll go to the Father if it is not through me. Imagine if Jesus Christ would stand today and say those things. We would cancel him. We would say, you are toxic. Oh, this. But anyway, why do I say we would cancel him? Because he was cancelled. He was killed for such things, you know? So what I'm saying is that our relationship with masculinity, you know, and this is not even a gender thing. It is toxic. It is toxic because our culture is not beautiful and wonderful as our culture is. Everything has got its own shadows. And our culture was also invaded and different cultures in, you know, there was just a lot. So the same way we can say culture, you know, produces maybe, or it grooms a grandiosity, you know, narcissism, grandiose with men. We've seen men who are shut down. Men who are shut down and they were groomed in the very same culture. Men who are vulnerable. Men who are just like, you know, who are groomed by the same culture. Okay, that is what I think. You mentioned that narcissists is a message of where you need to look into. Can you elaborate on that? Is it a message on something you need to work on in yourself? Definitely, it is a message of where you need to work on within yourself. Excuse me. It is a message of where you need to work on within yourself. And some of the work on yourself might not look like you are doing inner child work. It might not look like you are doing, you know, all these things. It might be that you need to work on your devotion. You need to work on where you are, where your devotion is. You know, in our society now, in our culture right now, Mojolo has replaced God. Mojolo has replaced God. Why? Because Mojolo gives you that you feel like I am, I have found the one. You know, you feel like, oh my God, I have found, there's a part of you that feels filled, you know. And that is because that part of you that needs to be filled can only be filled by God. But because your devotion is horizontal, then a toxic relationship will come as a message to say that you need God. That thing that you were battling to be filled, to be whole, to be loved and adored, and only God can give you the safety that you need. You know, we want a tall, dark, slender. Is a tall, dark, and slender man. You know, is tall, dark, and slender, or tall, dark, and however, because that represents safety. That is the safety that you can only get from God. You can't get from men. So yes, it is a message in that way. Definitely, there are people who need to do inner child work. There are people who need to do mother wound work. There are people who need to do father wound work. There are people, we all have some work somehow, it's something that we should be doing. But these relationships, they come as a messenger to tell us where we need to look at. Let me give an example of where I am now with the kind of masculine males that I am experiencing. I'm experiencing so much support, so much support. Even the men who come into my space for service, you know, even the people who come for service, the guy who was fixing my plumbing, support on time, all of that, you know, and that is because of the work I understood that if I don't fix my masculinity, the masculine that I am gonna experience, the males that I'm going to experience are males that are gonna be giving me messages about my masculinity. So yes, definitely we need to do work. I hope I elaborated well. Gotta leave for work. Okay, all right, thank you. As an agreeable person, what is the best way to put an end or leave the relationship or set boundaries with the narcissist? Okay, that right there, or set boundaries. You need to set boundaries. You have to live by the boundaries. You have to live by the boundaries. Boundaries are law. You know, they are impersonal. Law is impersonal. Law is impersonal. Okay, so you can't put a law or from today, this is what's going to happen. This is how we are going to engage, you and I. And then tomorrow, when they come and they say, but why do you think, oh, okay, just come in, just come in. That is how most people are hoovered back into these toxic relationships. Okay, I didn't talk about hoovering. There is another stage after you've been discarded of hoovering, being hoovered back into the relationship. That is when they go to find another supply and another narcissistic supply, and they find that it doesn't match you. Then they have to hoover you back until they find another one. The serial cheating, some of it is a personality disorder where you wanna give me wife here, and then they keep going, and then after they left, and then they come back, and then they hoover in this person back into their life. And this person, because after the narcissist has left, they are not doing the work. They're not doing the work. When I talk about the work, I am talking even about the biological work. You see, this flesh registers every trauma that you experience. This flesh registers everything. I'll give you an example. A person who has just been fresh out of an abusive relationship, and that relationship was abusive. I don't rush to counsel them, because counseling will trigger them. I don't rush to say, let's talk about it. And some of you here who have been through toxic relationship, you are severely abused, you lost things and so on, and or your man took your friend. Let me tell you something. Counseling, talk, therapy will trigger you. You need to go into spaces that are equipped, are equipped with the support, that are equipped with helping you heal certain aspects, so that when you go into the story, then you go into a story the certain person. Otherwise, you will be you'll be re-triggered, and then you feel like you are not doing the work. Okay, right. You've said a mouthful, very insightful session, studying psychology, and as an African, I'm trying to link the Western perspective and African perspective. Love you and your shoes. Mwah. Thank you so much. So here is a thing about psychology. Also, as a scholar of psychology, I have always been in that, I have always had that challenge. Some of the things that I'm studying, they just don't speak to me. They don't speak to me as Msotho, as an African. Yes, they will address the neurological aspect of things. Not even the neurological aspect of things. I honestly feel that some of the things that we study, I'm talking to a scholar here, some of the things that we study about human I mean, about women, you know, where women do this, and this is how women think, or this is how women process things, and they should be counseled and they should go to therapy for. I feel that these things are written by people who have never experienced being a woman. I believe that we need women psychologists to write new books, you know, about a woman and the experience of being a woman. I am a scholar of Carl Jung, and I don't disagree. When it comes to women, I always go, but that is the experience and the expression of a woman. You don't need to go to therapy for. So thank you. Another question here is, my baby daddy is a narcissist. How do I unplug from being constantly pulled down to his vibration level, since I'm now forced to deal with him forever? Yes. So people who have children with narcissists, who are co-parenting with narcissists, that is a very difficult thing to do, okay? And if you don't stick to the boundaries that you set, whether you know, you have a lawyer that helps with the co-parenting, or whether you go to court and the court says this is how the child or children are going to be managed in order to see both parents, and you don't stick to that, stick to whatever it is that you know, the law, or you know, rules, or whatever it is that you contracts that you draw, stick to that. Remember that being and especially when you have children with such a person, it becomes a war, a battle of your soul, okay? Because you know, it's not like you can just shut the door. If you can do it, you know, if you can shut the door and say, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna, you know, maintain my children, I'm just gonna, these children come from God and God will help, you know. If you can't do that, it becomes a battle of your soul. It becomes a war unto your soul. What would I like use as the King James get unto your soul? It becomes a war unto your soul. So stick to Mtoing, because another thing, know that even when they demand custody of the child, or even when they demand, I want to see my children, when you give them the children, they neglect the children. When you give them the child will be neglected. Look at, I visited my dad or I visited my mom, but they were neglected. They were neglected. So you will see that sometimes it is just a war. Yeah, how a war against you. It is war against you, you know. So I'm saying this experience. I'm saying this also, you know, the research and studies. How have other people dealt with co-parenting with narcissists? What they do is that they have laws, they run co-parenting like a mercantile or a business experience. You know, you put money on this day, you put money on this day in the account. If you don't put money in that day on the account, I'm going to tell my lawyer and my lawyer will take it further. You know, it becomes like that. And I've been holding space for women, but I'm on the maintenance courts, wanting their baby daddies to maintain the child. Born, if there is no desire and willingness to do it, I'm telling you, that man will even burn the factory that he works at, so that he can be able to go to court and say, I'm no longer working, even that factory is burned, I'm no longer working, so I can't support the child. You know, if there is no willingness, oh my God, it is another thing. So And that on its own requires a lot of spiritual work. That on its own requires, I'm not just saying to people here, damper your maintenance cases. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if there is no willingness and no desire to do it, oh my God, o tla kopa 250, ke kopa 250 out of the 10,000 that you spend on one child, or Kenya fella 250, it will be a story. It will be a story, it will be a story that will break your spirit even. So yeah, that's that. So in order to not be pulled down to their vibration, to their level, there is a thing called gray walling. And these are things that you learn. These are things that you learn. But gray walling is when you don't give any emotional feedback. When they say, I'm not gonna pay for anything, oh, okay, all right. But know that whether it is your lawyer or whoever, you have to have a whole network when you are dealing with the narcissist in order for you to survive. But not only to survive, I'm doing these programs because it is not just about survive. I survived, and I found that after surviving, I was still stuck. You are still stuck, and you are still stuck. I wanted to bring what is the seed of a narcissist does. It shuts you. It shuts you down. No other man will see you. It shuts you down. So the healing and the blooming and going beyond. Oh my God. That's what needs to happen. Trust me, psychology doesn't claim much. It is as political as any field. Yes, the deeper you go, we are just working with the system. People are misdiagnosed because of it. My God, people are misdiagnosed. Let me get the right level before I claim to have a view. Okay, honestly, people are misdiagnosed. I have been doing counseling since 1990, when HIV was still coming in, and I'd always query, I would always worried about the pre-counseling, HIV pre-counseling, that thing. And just the other day, I was changing insurance and they did HIV test on me and they said, can we do HIV pre-counseling? I thought, no, but I said, no, yes, do the pre-counseling so that I hear how it has changed. It has changed a lot. It has changed a lot. They're no longer counseling people on death, but they are pushing the pills and stuff. Anyway, yes. So I haven't, okay. All right. So for men who are co-parenting with narcissists, know that it's the same rule applies. The same rule applies. Have systems, stand by your word. If you said that we will see a child from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, be there 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. If you said, just, stand by your word, have boundaries, have strong, very strong boundaries, and know that nothing is personal. Whatever the narcissist is doing, it is not about you. It is never about you. It's never about you. You might be here and only to find that you are a person, or even when HR people, those who did industrial psychologists, when they interview people, they want a person like you, a person who is agreeable, a person who will be able to work with people. And so it doesn't mean that you are a bad person. It doesn't mean that you are a bad person. It doesn't mean that you are useless. It doesn't mean that, you know, the treatment that you got where the toxic person, the soulless person was flaunting other people and saying, these people are better than you. That is not the truth. That is not the truth. The truth is that the person is trying to fill themselves with other people's energy. They become narcissistic supply. And at that point, you were not supplying enough. And of which you are bound to not, at some point, you will not supply enough. Why? Because you are human. You know, because you are human, and narcissists will want their mother in you. They will want their father in you. I get a mother and father. In the story of the songbird, she says, I would wake up every morning, I'd make him breakfast, I would iron and shine the shoes and put them on the bed for him and put the breakfast here. You see, that is a mother energy dropping there, because that is what the narcissist require to that mother energy. So I want to stop the recording. Where are we now? I want to stop the recording and see if there are people who want to ask questions or even to speak or comment. Let's stop the recording. We close. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming. And those who will be watching the recording, know that there will be more of these healing rooms. And I would like you to invite people and come to the healing rooms. Let's have different conversations. Let's have different, you know, let's elevate our, you know, our argument around things. We can't carry on going around and saying there's a lot at stake. There is generations and generations that are coming after us. Thank you for coming. Lesedi la Modimo, phelang, each and every one of you. Lots of love from me to you. Bye-bye.